Hello, and welcome to Nightmare Masterclass. My name is David Stockdale. I'll be your host on this excursion into the dark unknown. So, 2018 has been kind of a shit show, but I think it's been a good year for the channel. Looking forward, I want to wish everyone a happy new year, and I want to give you a quick update on some things happening with the channel. And I've got a short little Q&A for you as well toward the end of the video. So first things first, as many of you know, I'm working on the next installment of my Petscop investigation series. Progress on that video is going a bit slower than I initially planned, but I expect it to be out fairly soon. Honestly, I just needed a few days over the holidays to clear my head before really diving into the research and writing phase of this video. So that's why it's taken a bit longer. Let's move on to general plans for 2019. I'm going to try and be a little more consistent with the frequency of my uploads this year. I think I am certainly not lacking in the amount of material to cover. It's really just a matter of planning things out. So if there's anything you want me to cover in 2019, now would be the time to let me know. Oh, and here's another thing. I recently stated on various platforms that I'm looking to cover more horror-oriented video games on my channel, so if you have any recommendations, feel free to sound off in the comments. And thanks to everyone for your suggestions thus far. On a related note, my tentative goal for this year is to reach 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which I think is roughly the amount needed to attain some moderate level of sustainability for this project on a more long-term basis. With that in mind, I know I've said before that I don't believe I'm at a stage where I think it will be worth it to start up a Patreon, but I do want to gauge people's interest and see how many of you would be willing to support me on a monthly basis. If I receive enough comments in the affirmative, I might consider setting up an account sometime soon. It's really just a matter of coming up with incentives and all that. But for the time being, the best way to support me is by going on ko-fi.com/Nightmare Masterclass and buying me a coffee or two. And if you want some indication of what your money is going towards, I am considering the possibility of buying a nicer camera and doing some more theatrical things in my videos. So if that sounds like something you'd like, please consider helping me save up for a camera. And if any of you have experience with cameras, I would appreciate some tips on what I should get, because I really have no idea what I'm doing in that regard. I'm thinking my price range is mid-level at this point, probably somewhere between $500 to $700. I don't know, that's just off the top of my head. I think sometimes I need to reaffirm the basic goal of my channel, and that has always been to encourage and promote critical thinking by analyzing various works, usually in the realm of horror. So I wanted to ask you, my viewers, what videos you found to be helpful in that regard. And along those lines, I'm also asking for input on areas where I might need some improvement. So please feel free to sound off in the comments, but try to keep it constructive. You know, there are times when I see the most, how would I word it, angry and really just needlessly cruel comments, and I think, do these people know I can just shadow ban them and never think about their comment again? That said, I do receive a lot of insightful and really well thought out comments, criticism included. So I am thankful for that. For those that leave these sorts of comments, I want you to know that even if I don't get a chance to reply, I do read every comment, and I appreciate you for taking the time to formulate a response to my videos. It is often extremely helpful, and I do try to integrate feedback into my future work. Okay, so that's all I got for the channel update. Onto the Q&A. Thanks to those of you who submitted questions. Here's the first one. What's your favorite beer? All right, I have never been better prepared for a question in my life. This is an easy one. It's Sam Adams Cherry Wheat Ale, with the caveat that I'm not much of a beer connoisseur. I'm more of a whiskey guy, but yeah, I am a fan of Sam Adams in general, and in my view, their cherry wheat ale is exceptional. It's crisp, it's not too sweet, which I find to be a problem with the fruitier flavored beers, and yeah, so there's your answer. Here's a good one. What's your favorite chain restaurant? I would say Chili's is a solid bet. Their food is consistently good for the price point, and their service is fast and reliable, at least at the one I go to. And on a side note, I am a huge fan of the Doughboys podcast. They review chain restaurants, so check them out if you are interested in that sort of thing. On to the next question. What video of yours are you most proud of? I would have to say that while it hasn't quite performed as well as other videos, my analysis of The Cry of Man is something I worked really hard on, and I think it shows when you watch that 2-part installment. What lies in your pockets right now? I have my phone, my wallet, and my keys. I don't know what you were expecting to hear, but there's generally nothing interesting in my pockets. Here's a good question. How were you introduced to socialist theories and philosophies? Was there a defining moment when you realized you agreed with some of these principles, or was it more of a gradual process? I would say really what it ultimately comes down to is that the left has better memes. Just kidding. No, I mean, it was definitely a gradual process. I don't remember there being a specific moment where something clicked, per se. It was more so a series of small realizations that happened as I began experiencing firsthand the various sorts of problems that occur in our current economic framework. I was first introduced to Marx in college, but I don't think I really absorbed or retained anything meaningful at that point. I remember the Occupy movement resonating with me, having, graduated in the middle of a recession with all of the difficulties that entails. But even after that, I was pretty much a generic liberal up until around the time Bernie Sanders started his primary campaign in the year leading up to the 2016 election. Since then, I've been exploring the diverse array of left-wing tendencies, reading various socialist writers, and so on. And I found that while there is a lot of disagreement and infighting on the left, the basic idea of workers owning and controlling the means of production just seems like a very straightforward and common sense solution to many of the problems that occur as a result of capitalism. Not that I think it's going to happen anytime soon. Sorry, I'm in a bit of a pessimistic state right now, but I find Professor Richard Wolff to be a particularly accessible socialist thinker, so check him out if you are new to leftist ideas. What he basically proposes is that we shift to worker cooperatives as the dominant mode of production. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Bonus question. Marx may have lost the fistfight with Freud, but could he beat Jung? This person's referring to Carl Jung. Well, let's think about this for a second. I am assuming we are talking about both dudes in their physical prime, so let's take a look here. It's kind of hard to say based on these renderings, but if I had to guess, I would say that Carl Jung would probably beat his ass. Sorry, Marxists, your boy is a lover, not a fighter. Oh, a couple people have asked about my educational background. I've said this a couple times before, but I have a bachelor's degree in English. No big deal. Tell us how you compose your music for your videos. So I compose my music in a DAW, a digital audio workstation. It's a piece of software called Reaper, which is fairly cheap. I think the license is about $60. Admittedly, it is a bit unstable, so I found that I need to save my work fairly often. I use a few different synth plugins, but the main one I rely on is called Helm. That's H-E-L-M. As far as my process, I can't really say I have a particular method or anything. I just kind of screw around until I make something that sounds appealing to me. I think there is definitely some room for improvement with my music, so if anybody has any tips or feedback to offer, I am certainly open to that. I'll have a link to my SoundCloud in the comments. I will say, I know that sometimes my music is a little bit too busy to be playing in the background of one of my videos, so that's something I need to work on. But yeah, making music is something that I enjoy, even if I am a bit of an amateur. Next question. What would your videos look like if you had an infinite amount of money and free time? This is a good question. I don't really know. I guess I would probably make my videos in space or something. Or I could do what Zizek did and insert myself into the scenes of various works I'm analyzing. I don't know. All right, and here's the final question. Will you ever branch out and do more coverage of online horror web series or ARGs? I know it's something you've gotten into a little, like with Petscop. I'm just wondering if you ever plan on getting into that scene anymore. Thanks for the question. So I don't really have any kind of methodical process for choosing what topics I cover. It's usually just things that have piqued my interest for whatever reason. So I'm definitely not opposed to covering some ARGs or something along those lines. So if you have any suggestions, I'm all ears. Okay, that wraps it up for this installment of Nightmare Masterclass. Again, if you enjoy my videos and have a few bucks to spare, please consider supporting me on ko-fi.com/Nightmare Masterclass. Thank you for watching, and happy 2019, everyone.